Dubai. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show, where we go through the top trending stories that everyone across the country is talking about. Our top story for you today: a warning has been issued to Google Chrome users in the UAE.
Dubai store shares footage of a woman stealing.
Dubai MC Karan Bhatia reveals Jetski scam in Al Mamzar.
And Manal Russum calls out brands for asking free coverage.
How dare they? And later on in the show, we'll be joined by the amazing Dubai Lifesaving team, who have ranked in the world's top 10.
Today's rapid weather report expect highs of 42 degrees with humidity at 32%.
Not too bad, not too bad. Good morning, everyone tuning in. It is Friday morning. We're so excited to kick off the show with you. And today we are joined by Rahala. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm excited to welcome you. So, a little bit of background. Rahil has been interning with us for 2 months, but it's also your last day.
My last day. Yeah.
So it's bittersweet.
It's so emotional.
So fake.
No, I actually loved being here. It was so much fun. Crazy.
I have to say, we messaged yesterday.
Oh my God. So I didn't know that I was going to do a show until 5 minutes before I left the office. Casey was like, can you talk? I was like, no, I actually need to go. Like, my ride's here. I can't talk. And then she tells me that I'm doing the show. So I'm like, okay.
I did ask.
Yeah, I mean, but you did give me 2 options. Yeah, I'll give it to you. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. Morning show, never done that before. But I was like, let's try it. It's my last day. And so I was like, let's go home. Let's prep for everything. Let's get it done and stuff like that. But I reached home 3 hours later.
3 hours later, you were stuck in traffic last night.
Yeah.
And not only that, Rahila has been one of the first people in the office every single morning for the entire internship. I think your day starts at 8. You've been in at like
7:30.
7:30. And today,
the one day I wanted to be here by 7:30, I reached at 7:50.
I was like, is she not coming?
Not even 7. I think I came later than that.
Because you slept in.
No, the traffic was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, like today's traffic, if you're stuck in it now, we feel your pain. Give us an emoji to describe your traffic this morning. We're getting death symbols, we're getting scared symbols, and I think everyone else in the office is like 30, 40 minutes late.
Yeah.
I think it's a production city thing, or is it around the city thing?
No, I think it's around the city thing.
Do you know where you were?
So I usually take the Motor City, Production City route. So I think that's where the most traffic was.
Yeah, that's what we're getting.
I'm not sure.
You know what's weird is that usually people work from home on Fridays.
I know.
And it's less traffic, but not today. Murphy's Law.
And even in Sharjah, where I live in Sharjah, that's why it takes me so long. In Sharjah, schools are closed as well, so you would expect less traffic.
It's going to be an easier day.
Yeah, and I was really happy. I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to reach early. It's Friday. Like, there's no way I'm getting late.
And then you made it.
I made it, yes.
And we'll start the show. So that is a warning for traffic road users. Take alternative routes if possible. Next up, our top story is a warning to Google Chrome users in the UAE. So, putting it out to everyone, do you use Google Chrome? And if so, please pay attention. The UAE Cyber Security Council recommends applying the security updates recently released by Chrome and circulating this information to your colleagues, your besties, and your partners.
So what's actually happened? According to a post by the UAE Cybersecurity Council, Google has released security updates to address multiple vulnerabilities in Chrome browser. These vulnerabilities could potentially allow attackers to execute malicious code on an affected system, so every user must protect themselves immediately.
So that's us. You can find more information from Google via the tweet from UAE Cybersecurity Council on X. I have it open here. Google have basically listed how you protect yourself, and this is where I come to a roadblock because I'm a Google Chrome user. I have been for years. I see this update. I think, oh, that's an important update to share with the public, but I don't understand how to do it.
Yeah, the language is not easy.
No, and these types of attacks become a little bit scary. Someone I know works for a large company, not in the UAE, and there's been a cybercrime attack to the tune that 30,000 employees.
30,000? That's a big number, bro. That's huge.
Yeah, and all of their information is potentially open to attack. So these are really scary things.
That's scary.
Yeah, so I think that even though we don't understand this, we should
Probably
it.
take cautions, yeah.
Do you use
For
Google
sure.
Chrome?
Yeah, that's where I work.
Everyone?
I think everyone. I think Chrome is easier than Safari, to be honest.
I have Safari. It's sitting staring at me every single day, but it's
Not, yeah, I don't use it that often.
a defunct button. Another story grabbing attention. A Dubai store shares footage of a woman stealing. This is grabbing a lot of headlines this morning. Sand Dollar Dubai is a homegrown swim and resort wear store. I think they started online, but they are now a much loved community brand. They have their flagship store in Ajman. Anyway, last night they shared on their Instagram page that there was a woman stealing in their store.
The owner shared the post saying, I question whether to post this, but unfortunately, it's something I have to deal with every now and again. As a small business owner, people stealing like this really does hurt. Not just for my business, but it feels personal too.
You can sense her personal conflict in this.
Yeah, it's quite emotional.
So the owner continued, I've worked so hard over the years to get where we are today, and it's just so upsetting that people feel like they can walk blatantly into my store and proceed to steal my stuff. She said there are some positives, and they have such great support from, the hotels they're in and also from the police, which means they're actually very close to apparently catching this thief.
She also shared that these are the challenges of being a small business owner and thanked her loyal customers and strong community for which she is grateful for.
Everyone is surprised.
I am surprised. Like, how did this happen here?
This is the thing. However, it's interesting that she notes this happens.
It happens, yeah.
Do you, like, the person who's done it, I felt like she looked like me, to be honest. I was like, it's not
Oh my
me.
God, yeah. She looks like Casey. I doubt. Is that you?
It could be, but I don't know about you, but like if I'm walking through an airport security, I haven't done anything wrong, but my heart
Oh my
pounds.
God, yeah, same. Even like if I'm with my friends in a car and there's like a police car that passes us, we're like,
yeah.
Let's not breathe, guys.
Hello, officer. Nice to see you.
Even though we're doing nothing wrong, like we're perfectly driving at the speed limit, everything, but we're just like, guys, stop breathing. Let's just keep driving. It's crazy.
So either, like when you look at, you always try and have empathy for the person, even though to the business owner, I have all of the empathy for you as well. But you're thinking, why did the person do this? Were they doing it for kicks, or were they doing it because they're absolutely down and out, bottomed out? That makes absolutely no allowances for it, and we should not steal. But you just wonder what type of position the person is in.
Honestly, is clothing really that essential for you to steal?
Yeah, you're so
right.
If
it was grocery or something, okay, understandable. Maybe you needed water and you couldn't afford it, but like clothes, I mean, you can skip on clothes. Come on.
So true. And then when you think about the effect that it has on the small business owner, anyway, now that she's put it out there, I have no doubt that no one's going to be going near that store to steal.
Of course, yeah.
For future. Speaking of theft and scammery.
Dubai MC Karan Bhatia reveals Jetski scam in Mamzar. So Karan Bhatia, a well-known MC in Dubai, exposed a common Jetski scam in the Mamzar area. He warned that some Jetski rental companies tricked riders by making them sign contracts, holding them responsible for any damages and falsely charging them for pre-existing scratches.
These companies then demand huge repair fees up to the tune of 10,000 and threaten to call the police if you don't pay. Karan's advice is simple. Take detailed videos and pictures of the jet ski before your ride, documenting every scratch to avoid falling into the scam. Can I say, however, I have rented a jet ski in that area and I was not a victim of the scam.
Well, you're lucky. You're lucky.
Yeah.
You're lucky. But I was reading through some of the comments and somebody said that they put temporary paint on the scratches. So when you go into the water, it washes it off. And then when you return back, there's a scratch.
Though, I think if I go to a car rental place in Europe, I take it up inch for inch detailed photo of the entire car. Just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
And I think that paint note is scary, but I think that if we're renting equipment, not because I don't trust the other person, but I think it's good to always follow that if you were renting.
But yeah, definitely. And but also these companies, these rental companies, I feel like they're taking advantages of the fact that nobody reads terms and conditions. I personally don't read terms and conditions. Do you? Do you? I think there's a very small...
Barely make my own bed, Rahla.
I think there's a very small minority that reads it. So I think they're taking advantage of the fact that nobody reads through all of these and are falling for scams, so...
Yeah, it's so tricky. Like we spoke about that story. There's about maybe 2 weeks ago about the couple who the husband passed away in Disneyland, and then the wife could not sue Disney because they were at fault because he ate something that he mentioned that he was allergic to in the restaurant. So they were at fault, but because he had signed a Disney contract and subscribed to Disney 4 years before, and in that contract it said you can never sue Disney, she was not allowed to sue them. They then took it back, but you're so right in terms of like iPhone updates. No one. Maybe it should be on the companies to make it a more readable format for us.
Yeah, I mean, if you write these big paragraphs, I don't think anyone's going to be interested. Like, if you keep it to the point, maybe.
If you're getting employed for a job, would you read the contract?
Yeah, 100%. That's just fun. That's fun for me. Yeah. That's fun. Like, reading updates and terms and conditions for those, that's not fun.
With work stuff, I think it makes sense. I would always go through it.
Of course.
What about you're renting a home?
I'm just 21. I don't know. I didn't think that far. I think I would.
Yeah.
I think essential.
The last place they gave us a contract, but there was no terms and conditions. They were like, oh, it's fine, you'll just follow the buildings ones. They didn't give us a contract. And we were like...
Oh, sketchy.
Yeah. So it's like, give us something, make it easy to read, and we shall read it.
Did you? Did they?
Home rental, yeah.
Okay.
Because you don't want the rights to be with the... And there's a couple of things that can really vary between... for the landlord versus for the tenant. So you just want to make sure it's balanced.
The way they word it could be completely different. Yeah. Understand. That makes sense.
But apps I download, definitely not. Okay, let's jump into our next story. This also was grabbing headlines yesterday.
So Manal Russum calls out brands asking for free coverage. Egyptian mountaineer and Dubai-based content creator Manal Russum has spoken out against brands asking influencers for free coverage. She took to Instagram to vent about how companies are offering exposure instead of payment, which she firmly says doesn't pay the bills.
Manal pointed out that more brands are reaching out for collaborations without any budget, expecting influencers to work for free. Many people in the industry are backing her up, agreeing that exposure isn't enough when it comes to paying the bills. So we've had Manal sit here before, by the way, and you know when we title headlines that go on Lovin Dubai, we have to make it relatable to the audience. So Manal is more than a content creator. She was the first Egyptian woman to scale Everest. She scaled many of the world's highest peaks. She also founded Surviving Hijab, which is a Facebook group, correct me if I'm wrong, like 500,000 followers, and it's all about supporting women to wear the hijab. So she has a strong community. So you know the way like you're paying an influencer, are they real, those followers?
Yeah.
Hers are real. They are very much engaged into her life.
No, but oh my God, that's amazing the work she's done. But I also noticed like a few brands, they were being so defensive in the comment section.
Oh, really?
They were being so defensive. They were like, they said that it goes both ways and that many influencers don't have enough engagement, or they bought fake followers, which is quite visible to them. So they're like, we're not going to give you free stuff or like payment for having fake audience.
Right. Well, but I think then it needs to be on a case-by-case basis. Like if you are employing someone, you make sure that they are up to...
Yeah, like for example, back in the day, we didn't have influencing market, whatever. So all these brands, they would actually pay billboards and like other marketing streams. But now that influencer marketing is a big thing, I think they should also be paid.
100%. Like brands need to know who they're working with, but it's very often that they'll try and go for a barter deal first.
Yeah.
And I think it's on a case-by-case basis. So you as an influencer needs to know how much, like think about, do they actually have budget? And like if it's a small store, for example, $100 Dubai, it's a small store. If they got in touch and they wanted a collaboration, if I was an influencer, I think, okay, maybe, they're a small store, don't have budget.
Yeah,
maybe we can get to an agreement of like, my time is worth maybe a handbag, like have a barter versus, but you of course establish that your time is worth something. It's a value, as is your audience and the content that you create. Now, if a huge brand came along, which does happen, and they ask for my time. As an influencer, I'd say, well, they've got some money somewhere if they're paying for this billboard, if they're taking over this metro station, you know, if they definitely have spend, and therefore I'd value my time based on that too.
I agree. But also for like all these influencers who are just starting their career, I think it's okay for them to say yes to these free coverage or free brand things, because their page is their portfolio. So when these $1 million, when certain brands see these $1 million brands being portrayed on their page, then they're like, oh, we want to work with this person too.
True. And
they don't know if they're getting paid or not. So this brand could also be like, oh, maybe she got paid enough. Maybe she got paid a lot. So we should also be paying her.
Very true. But I think, so therefore, it's very much on a case-by-case basis. So for example, if a hair tool company, you know, a very fancy one that we all know and love, if they came to me and said, hey, Casey, would you like a hair tool and with a very small following, I'd say, yes, absolutely, I'll take that.
Yeah.
However, someone who's further on in their career, who has a large audience, who gets paid for gigs, they're going to say no. So that's why, and then the brands know exactly who they're speaking to and they'll make those calls.
Exactly. No, I feel like all these influencers were saying, oh, the brand should not ask for free collabs and stuff. You can say no.
Exactly.
You can just say no.
Yeah, you can say no.
You can say no and you can move on.
Yeah. But I think it's a nice reminder every now and then. And of the industry, because it's a new industry, relatively, and I think times are always evolving. I imagine different influencers at different rates, so it's good for someone to kind of stand up and say, hey, I'm not doing this for free, and maybe it will nudge others to kind of follow in her footsteps.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
It's 8:48, which means it's time to welcome the Dubai Lifesaving team, which ranked in the world's top 10 in Australia. They're just back on terra firma, so we'll get to that. But before we end the show, this part of the show, Rahela, well done on your first show. Amazing. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you for having me here.
Of course, and thank you for an impeccable internship.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're so welcome. Guys, that brings us to the end of this part of the show, and we're going to join with the Lifesaving team up next. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show, joined today by members of the Pirates team. We've got head coach Fernando Mateo and Oliver Bergman, captain for the team, who just ranked in the top 10 at the Life-Saving World Championships in Australia, competing against Olympians, battling brutal sea conditions. They're here to tell us all about it. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for the invite. We are very proud of being in your studios.
Well, I'm happy to have you. Massive congratulations. Big win. Unexpected maybe. So how does it feel to have ranked in the top 10?
Well, when we came in, we saw a quote from Caesar Augustus on the wall of the studio saying, I came to Rome and it was a city of bricks and I turned it into a city of marble. I guess that with the advice of our senior team members like Oli and others, we're able to build something from nowhere. And that is so fulfilling. It's very, very difficult to express how we're feeling at this point in time.
Well, tell me about building something from nowhere. Oliver, captain of the team, like when did you start, when did you join, and what was the team like when you took the captainship?
I think it was about a year ago, Candy came to me and she spoke about the opportunity of representing the UAE on the world stage. When she mentioned that, we had to take it up. I mean, this has been a dream of ours forever. When we started training, we thought, we're going to do our best and we just want to rub shoulders with the best in the world and just try to stand our own. But being able to perform on the highest stage and win events, that was not expected. We couldn't do that without the unbelievable coaches and our support.
What's needed to get to this level? Like, is life-saving every day after school? Is it weekends? Like, what do you need to get to the team to peak condition?
We run our program with our kids Mondays through Sundays. And there we are setting the roots for people to become the Olivers of this world and to become members of, hopefully, the next world champ taking place in 2 years. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of funding. This is kind of the tricky part always when you get into this kind of adventure, financial resources. But beyond anything else, what you need is a big heart. A big heart, good legs, good lungs, and the spirit to go against adversity. Because when we showed up in Australia and our team saw those waves, those water conditions, we never get to see that in Dubai. Never. I mean, Oliver, coming from South Africa, obviously he's seen it on a daily basis when he was in his childhood and in his years starting there in life-saving. But for the rest of the kids, it was unseen before. I mean, when you get to see those waves and you get to see those rip currents, etc., it's very tricky.
We do have a very flat seascape here in Dubai.
Absolutely.
But tell me, Oliver, what is training like for you? And correct me if I'm wrong, like I can imagine for some reason, I know what training for tennis looks like. I know what training for football looks like. I don't know what training for life-saving looks like.
All right, life-saving comprises of two different disciplines. Everyone knows the Baywatch side of things, which is the lifeguarding that's patrolling the beaches. But the other side that not many people know about is the competition side. Mm-hmm. The competition is broken up into land events, water events, and then events that comprise of both disciplines together. So the training comprised of a lot of land-based training, which is sprints, it's longer runs. And then in the water, we use craft and we are swimming. The days obviously changed. One day we'd be training on the land, the other day we'd be training on the water. So a strict program with alternating between the two disciplines.
And it's a combination of several things at the same time. It's not just the different scenarios, water and land, but it is the abilities that you need to have in order to be able to perform at the right level in both. There are countries, for example, we faced fierce competition from Egypt on the land side, but on the water they had nothing. We feared some serious competition from the Indian team on the land, but again, on the water they had nothing. One of the beauties precisely of our team is that we were able, although it was a very small team in comparison to the other teams, we were able to field a group of athletes who were able to perform both on and off the sun.
You mentioned earlier lung capacity. How do you train your lung capacity to compete in world life-saving competitions?
Oli, that's your question.
This is something that it doesn't happen just overnight. It is something that progressively you get better with your swimming, with regards to wiping out, with regards to staying calm. That is ultimately the most important thing in these situations. back to what Fernando said, at the end of the day, we went and we took one of the smallest teams, but probably the most diverse. We had people from 4 different countries, be it Brazil, United States, England, Wales, I should say 5 actually, and South Africa. But together, everyone brings a different aspect to the table, and it all just clicks when we come together.
And Oliver has mentioned something very important, which is don't rush things. This is not a process that can happen from one day to the other. This is something that starts on the base. This is something that starts with our kids at our Kite Beach location. It's very difficult to build an athlete from scratch. They need to have something special, and that's what we saw in the team that we took. I mean, we saw obviously the experience of people like Oliver. We saw that raw talent in the youth that we took with us, and at the end it was a great combination. It was watching them perform at the level they did. It really made us feel proud. Wearing the UAE flag on our shirts and representing our country in such an event meant a lot to us.
It's amazing.
We actually, in many ways, we made history. In a sport that is completely unheard of in the region, although there is a long tradition, for example, in Egypt, to show up in our first international event and finish how we finished, it goes for the team.
You know,
Thanks.
No, it is amazing. And the thing is, like, we see the medals, like, we see the end. We don't see
The process, the journey.
the determination that it takes to get there.
It's a journey. It's
Right.
a journey. It's a journey that started when we got together and we said, let's do it. And once we said, let's do it, there's no way back. Okay? We got to that point of no return. And we got to that point of no return very, very soon. As I've said before, it requires not just having the team, but having the resources. It was a fight. At the end, I mean, unfortunately, we didn't get that much support, so Paris itself took a lot of the cost under our wing, and we are more than happy to do so because we're promoting what needs to be promoted, which is a healthy youth, a sportive youth, and a focus for youth. And if there's a sport that gives phenomenal amount of focuses to our youth, it's life-saving. Because there is also a social benefit into it, which these kids know how to save lives.
So going forward, if you're looking for the World Championships you mentioned in 2 years' time, you'll hopefully look for more community support?
Absolutely. We need it. We need it. If not, it's going to be very difficult to replicate or to emulate what we did down in Australia. We definitely need, and from here I make a call, whoever is interested in touching base with us to see what they can do for the future of this team, more than welcome.
Well, more conversation is what makes that happen. But you mentioned you saw a strong team, and that's why you put the team together. When the team arrived in Australia, and we've kind of touched on the difficult conditions, what was the mindset when you took off on your first, I guess, like C part of it? Like, how did you kind of rally the team to be like, it's not what we're used to, but we're going to do it?
I mean, the boys just have so much grit and determination. It was never a case of, oh no, this is what we've got, it's what we're going to work with. And I think where we might lack skills in one department, we have that determination in the other. And fortunately, we arrived 5 days earlier than the event. So we were able to accustom ourselves to the waves and obviously hone in on the boards and the craft that we were using in the event.
It was pure talent because, I mean, the truth needs to be told. We had never used those competition boards in our life for some of those events. It was the first time that our kids had access to those boards.
Why so?
Very difficult to access them. Obviously, the water conditions here don't merit getting those boards. You have to go and train elsewhere. But still, they were able to perform, and still they were able to enjoy like crazy. It was very interesting because the first day they had access to those boards, Oli can tell you more in depth what the experience was.
Yeah, a bit of carnage.
Yes, pretty much. But again, it's part of life. We are human beings that need to adjust, to adapt to whatever life brings on us, and these guys really showed a phenomenal capacity to adapt to the circumstances.
True. I love how, Oliver, you said great determination, and then, you know, your coach says pure talent, because it's a replication of what happened. What are your thoughts on lifesaving as a sport in the UAE? I'll be honest, I didn't know much about it. I'm glad we're having this conversation. What can be done to propel it, to get more funding, to get more people involved?
I believe, and I would let Oli talk more in depth about it, but I believe that people out there need to understand that there is a social benefit to developing our sports, which is we are creating not just athletes, but people who have got the ability to save lives. That's the reason why a sport is called life-saving. if an accident happens on the beach and the lifeguards on duty are there, it's always good to know that there is a bunch of kids and there's a bunch of adults that can also support in those needs. At the same time, the benefits is a multi-experience sport in the sense that you've got a land portion to it and you've got a water portion to it. So it's not just you are creating unidimensional athletes, you are creating multidimensional athletes, which is great because that set of skills that they develop in their journey along this sport are going to help them in anything they do in life. Discipline, character, calmness versus adversity, capacity to adapt and to adjust. I discovered myself, and I am being truly honest, I discovered this sport quite recently myself. I come from the racket world sports. So imagine the transition. And I find so many nice things about the sport that it hooks you into it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, not only is it a club or a community, but it's a family at the end of the day. And having those brothers that I now have, it's something truly spectacular.
Have you been lifesaving on the beach during Dubai summer?
I have not. I have not been lifeguarding, but rather training for the lifesaving specific events.
We've actually collaborated many times for many years with Dubai municipality in basically creating specific training for their lifeguards. And it was always a phenomenal experience working side by side with those guys that spend so many hours on the beach taking care of our lives there. So all these guys are obviously certified lifesavers by one of the most prestigious institutions, which is the South African Lifesaving Board. And that's one of the things that we obviously promote at Pirates, which is every single kid that goes through our ranks, at the end when they come out, they are licensed to become lifeguards.
Amazing. Before you leave us, what's next, Oliver, for you specifically? Are you going to stay with the team? Does the team go on to the World Championships or what happens?
100%. We've come too far now to let it fuzzle out. The next goal would be in 2 years' time once again at the World Champs. And ultimately, there is news of lifesaving an event in the Olympics in 2032, Brisbane.
Wow!
So
we are becoming an Olympic sport. And more important to that is the fact that now we've got a target that we face, which is 2026. Either Morocco or Abu Dhabi are the venues. They still have to decide. Might be one of the portions is done in Abu Dhabi, might be the others done in Morocco, we'll see. But now it won't be our first time. Now we are ready. Now we know the little things that we need to know before showing up. And away from that is now we are creating that spirit that we need to look forward to 2026.
So much. Thank you so much, Fernando and Oliver, for building the community spirit down at Pirates. And if anyone watching today is interested and they want to find you, how can they get in touch for more questions?
Instagram, definitely. And if they want to see us live, come to Kite Beach. I mean, you will get to see how we are actually preparing the new generations to participate in this lovely sport. And thanks to a very special woman, Candy Fanucci, who created Pirates 15 years ago. Actually, this is a very special year for us because it's our 15th anniversary.
Amazing. Congratulations. And thank you to Candy, because I was in touch with her to set up this interview. So great. That brings us to the end of our show. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this Friday morning. Have a great day.
Thanks for your time.
You
And
so
again,
much.
thanks for your invitation. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Of course. Guys, that brings us to the end of our show. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Nope. Monday morning, same time, same place. Bye-bye.